So let's get stuck into module 6. Don't get stuck in the matrix. Check your metrics. So with this one, I'm going to go through what metrics Instagram are actually looking for to boost your posts to the explore page and to get more followers, but also as well, what metrics you should be looking at when you want more sales, if it's more followers, because sometimes they can play tricks on you. You might get 1,000 likes, but you don't really get any shares and followers. So therefore, is that good or is that bad? And this is what I'm going to go through in this module. Okay, so let's jump right in and get stuck in. So you're measuring the wrong thing. I hear this all the time, wherever it may be. People, oh yeah, but this post got this many likes and this. Instagram don't really use that as a huge indication that that post is really good, because really at the end of the day, you can just touch a like and then you're past it. So you're not really giving too much time and thought. Likes were the main thing many years ago, but now there's so many other things that Instagram have brought out in terms of metrics. You know, the metrics are fantastic compared to what they used to be. So use them in the right way. And this is because Instagram cares about shares, saves, replies, that may be DMs, that may be comments, etc. So somebody's really given some time to go in and check out that post as well. And the real question isn't how many likes did this post get, it's how many people care to actually spend a little bit of time either sharing it, either saving it, commenting, DM, etc. So this is what you should get in your mind when building the content. How can I get this shared? How can I get people to save it? How can I get people to reply to either a DM or comment in there? And from doing that as well, you're going to figure out what posts are doing the best, but specific roles. One post might do really well for sales. So go through the statistics, go through the metrics and figure out why that was. Was it because it got loads of saves? Was it because it got loads of shares? Okay. So moving on from this, we're going to dive into each individual one so I can dissect it and explain what to expect from the different metrics. How to read your metrics. So first of all, with the saves, it clearly tells Instagram that this content is good enough to be saved and the person wants to go back again and watch it. And this might be a training manual. This could be anything that really resonates to somebody and then they want to go back in a future period to watch it again. Especially with sales, this is a very good one. Whenever I find a post has a high level of or high metric of saves, normally it's quite a good one for sales, which is fantastic. So look out for this. In terms of shares, normally shares bring a lot more engagement and a lot more followers. And the reason for this is because if that post gets shared in a WhatsApp community, Telegram, Instagram, or anywhere, not just individual people, but in a big group, you can really rapidly grow your following. This is what we did with a recent client. They started on 1,700 followers. And by exactly following what I told her to do with the shares, every single piece of content that she posted needed to be shareable to a wider audience. And she went from 1,700 in 2 weeks, hit 10,000 followers, because that post, or what literally one of her posts, posting 2-3 times a day, landed in a huge WhatsApp community. And that just traffic of thousands and thousands of people going through it. So from there, she gained masses of likes, masses of engagement and comments as well. I think the post got over 300 comments. And this is from an account that started on 1,700 followers, but also the followers that came through it as well was absolutely astronomical, was fantastic. So with the replies as well, this is a very good one if you're looking at sales, trying to build a community with the followers that you have out there, whether it be comments, DMs, as I mentioned. Some of the posts, especially a friend of mine told me on YouTube, and it does really reflect over into Instagram as well, that sometimes when looking at the metrics, you might get the least likes that you ever really get on a post. You might get very few views on it, but the watch time is very high and the DMs and the reply rates are really good, which results in a very high sales rate through that specific reel. So if you're doing maybe a 1 minute, 2 minute, or 3 minute reel, and it's really going to town on how people can benefit and get more value from your product, you might find that the metrics are really low in terms of, you're not ranking on the explore page. It's only for the followers. but your reply rate through that might be really, really good and you're going to get sales. So it's a chain of thought here. Just because your metrics are low on certain posts doesn't necessarily mean that's bad. But unless you track their metrics and figure out what you got from each one, you're not really going to know if it was working or not. So yeah, this is a really, really good one. But you will normally find that if you're going to get really good replies, normally that will match the average watch time as well. Moving on to the profile visits. Now, if you're doing really well with the shares and you've already ranked on the Explore page or the Reels page, you're going to see that you're going to get a lot of non-follower engagement coming through. So your followers have seen it, but then a lot of non-followers. So a good metric to have a look at is profile visits. How many people watched your video on the Explore and then actually checked out your profile? And the good thing to do here is record how many profile visits you get compared to how many follows you get. If you get 100 profile visits and you only get 2 follows from that, you're going to know that you're only getting 2% of the people who are checking out your profile are actually going through and following it. So this could be something to update your bio, be a lot more clear in terms of how your page looks, because the reel might be great, but people might get confused when they get to your account. So have a look at that one, profile visits compared to followers. So when checking all these metrics, have a look what worked on a certain post and didn't work someone else. You might have really high saves on one, really high shares on another. Then go through, analyze that, replicate it, and then post more content that does really well. If you get metrics that just die in all of these places, then that's probably not a really good place to go. Get rid of that type of content and change it again. But as I mentioned, there's a multiple chain of thought in terms of what is a successful post. Was it just engagement? Did this one rank really well on the Explore? Did this one get me lots of followers? Did this one get me sales? So if you analyze everything, you're going to know what posts bring what results on your profile. So it's not just one system for everything. You might want to chop and change. If you're really focused on sales before Christmas or Black Friday or anything like that, then focus on the ones that are getting you replies. And that way you're probably going to get more sales if you do that. So don't celebrate likes, celebrate action. So focus on content that leads to replies, saves, shares, DMs, everything that comes through. And a really good way to do that is study the call to action that you've actually added on your video. So if you notice that you get lots and lots of saves on a specific video and then you replicate it, and then on the next one, you don't really get any saves, it could be the call to action. You might have not asked them to save it. You might have not said something specific in that video. So this is a really important thing as well, is always go over your call to actions, what worked, what didn't work. Was it at the start of the reel? Was it at the end of the reel? Was it also in the caption? People need to be told what to do. So you have to tell them. This is why on YouTube, you always see it like follow for more, subscribe, etc. Not enough people do this on Instagram, and they normally always put it right to the end of the video. And as I mentioned before, if you're getting less than 50, 60, 70% watch time, nobody is really getting to the end of your video. So therefore, you need to put it halfway through. You need to put it just after the hook, for example. Try it out and see what works. Reuse posts that got real interaction. Now, if you get a post that just blows up, gets loads of DMs, just replicate it again and again and again, because that is what is working. Once you strike gold and you find that gold, make sure you keep going down and digging more of that gold up as well. As I mentioned, don't assume that it's doing really well just because you're getting a lot of likes on a post. That's really not the metric. It can be really good for engagement. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's bad to have likes in any way, shape, or form. That is very good. A likes is a good indicator that you're going in the right direction. But if you really want a long-term strategy, then you have to be looking at the rest of the stuff as well that comes along with it. So ignore posts with low likes but high saves. Yes, you might get really low engagement in terms of views and likes, but you might get really high engagement on the DMs. So make sure you don't just overlook the likes metrics. Have a look at everything else that's coming through. And when you're creating reels as well, if you're just looking at the views, you're just looking at the likes, you're going to do well, but you're not really getting, you're not going to be making sales on it. So this is why I really want to pump into people. The more that you make from your Instagram, you can necessarily like quit your 9 to 5. This is another course that I'm building at the moment as well, is helping people literally to scale to 5K a month with using these exact strategies that I'm talking about. But I do see many people, I've got clients, who've got over 200,000 followers and have been paying for years, but they don't make money from their Instagram because they're just looking at views with traffic that doesn't necessarily convert. So now we're working together to figure out, okay, how can they start selling certain products? So don't just focus on views, focus on something that's going to create a response, and then you're going to be able to get your product or deal over to them. So likes feel good, DMs change everything. So, you could get 200 likes, but what would you prefer, 200 likes or 60 likes? And then you're getting, a possible 2 to 3 or 2 to 5 people to actually sell to who have gone to you. And this is one of the main areas of what you want to be doing in social media. I have mentioned that, if you want sales, you need to go out there, DM people, you need to go out there and find them. But if you find the sweet spot of where you can just post the perfect content that brings that person into your DMs, they start talking to you, and then you can sell them. That's the sweet spot. That's what you want. So this, why, 200 likes, yeah, it's great. But if you're getting nothing from it, you're not really getting anything back. Change your strategy a little bit. You might get less likes and it might be a little bit more tailored. But if you're getting them responses from them people who are going to buy from you, this is really where you want to be going rather than just the 200 likes. It might be really, if you're looking to just grow a big account and really just get there and use the size of your account to then get deals, this could be very good for you as well. You might not be too bothered about getting them DMs coming in, but anyone who's serious about building a personal brand, a company account, or anything like that, you really want to be looking at how many people are actually coming in, and then you can go in and close. So this is when you're really going from follower to lead to paying customer. This is the journey here. Here, you're really just staying at follower and you're not really getting many of the leads. This is more of a sales tactic. So after every post, talk to yourself like this. Go through and analyze. I personally really enjoy analyzing my work, going over my failures, going over my successes. And I really go through it with a fine tooth comb in terms of where did I fail at this? Not just necessarily in content, but everything to do with business. And once I find what didn't work, then I know not to do that again. Like, as I keep mentioning, don't just keep throwing mud at the wall and just expecting it to stick. Go through, spend the time, analyze it, like really go into it. Like, what made this work and what didn't make this work? And before you know it, in a very short space of time, I'm talking a month or 2 months, you'll become close to an expert on what is working on your profile and not, if you literally just go in and figure these little things out. So after every post, what made people engage here? What on this post really got people going? And a good way as well, if somebody sends you a DM or, somebody does a comment, send them a DM and be like, hey, what about this reel or what about this content did you really enjoy? I'd love your feedback, and then I'll make more content specifically for you. I really like to use that one because if you're just generally asking people, for help, they're like, yeah. But if you ask them, look, I will specifically make content just for you if you tell me what you liked about this and what else would you want. This is brilliant. It's giving you all the content ideas that you want. You're going to build a great rapport with that person, and you're going to know what is working in your videos from the horse's mouth. So really go to town on anyone really who does this. After a while, after a couple of months, 2, 3, 4 months, once you're really scaling, you figure this out, you're not necessarily going to have to do this a lot. But when you're first starting out and you really want to get there before you got momentum, really go to town on everything that I'm teaching here as well. If you get stagnant and things aren't working, let's say you get to 50K, 100K, and then it just starts going flat again, go back and start doing everything in this course again, because your viewership might have changed, your product might have changed, etc. Another one as well is, was it the hook, the story, or the visual? What inside that video got people engaged, got people to reply to me? Why did people save that? Why did people share that? If you know why, then you can put it onto your next post and figure it out. Did I get any replies or DMs? If you don't get any replies or DMs, did you add a call to action? Did you ask people to do that? Was it triggering enough, or was it have enough information in there that people actually thought it was worthwhile to then reply to you and do that. Would I save this if I was someone else? I really like to do this myself all the time. And this is with anything, not just in content, on, generally in business. Like, if I don't really like something, can I go through it? Then why should I post it? Don't post just because you need to post. Like, really go through it and be strict with yourself as well. Like, if I seen this on someone else's account, what would I think? And if I think, well, to be honest, I stutter, multiple times, I'm looking away from the camera, it's a little bit boring, then don't expect everyone else to really enjoy it as well. Be very critical of what you put out there, and when you're critical about it, then you don't make the mistakes that next time. And this is how you get better and better and better at the content as well. The more content you fire out there, the more that you look at the specifics in terms of how to improve that content, the much better that you can be. Don't just post, look at the likes and go, that one did well. That's not the way to go forward. Really analyze absolutely everything. So check daily or miss the window. You really want to be putting your posts up there every day if you can, every couple of days. I do like to put them into a spreadsheet, as mentioned, screenshot them, throw them into ChatGPT and ask it to put them in a spreadsheet for you is much easier as well. But really go through and have a look at all these different metrics that you can have on there. I still would put the likes and the views, of course, as well. But with it, if you have a spreadsheet and you have all of this data tracked, are you telling me that at the end of the month, and you've been posting once or twice a day, you've got 30 to 60 posts, you will clearly see what is working, clearly. From that, you'll be like, these are what's getting me the most sales. This is what's getting me the most followers. This is what's boosting my engagement and helping the rest. So you've got them three things, then you get them posts and you just go again and again and again. But really, like, if you're serious about this and you're serious about growing, tracking your metrics is an absolute must. Keep on track of it. As I said, there's no excuse for GPT. You can just throw it all in there and it will analyze and it will help you build a decent strategy that's definitely going to work based on numbers. Okay. So go through saves, replies, watch time. Also, this is new as well. Adding skip rate in there as well. Shares, profile visits, DM, replies, new followers. If you really want to go to the next level, then leads, then put in sales as well, for example, with likes and views, as I've mentioned, comments, put everything in there. The more things you track in this spreadsheet, the more information that you're going to have. So in a month's time, you only need to drill down within a month. Then you put everything together, and then your next 30-day strategy, I guarantee, will be much better than the previous one. And if you do that for the next 30 days, analyze it, and then do another 30 days of content, within the space of 2 to 3 months, your content will go from here all the way up, and you will be growing much faster than if you just make 100 pieces of content, post them, and just hope if it's going to go viral. So your first 3 seconds decide everything. Countless times I've been mentioning this, but I want to go back again and drill in. You can be doing everything right. You can be tracking your metrics. You can be, cutting your real time down. If your first 3 seconds isn't good enough, then you're really, the rest of the time, it's not wasted, but you're not going to be able to get there. So first 3 seconds, let me drill that into your brain again. So I planted the seed one more time. Your first 3 seconds can and normally is the most important part of that reel, because if nobody's actually seeing it, it doesn't matter what you do in the rest of the video and the reels. So that's the first 3 seconds. Make sure motion surprise, energy when you first start off, text immediately on it, showing them what it's about, what they're going to get in it. Avoid slow and boring intros. So make sure that your first 3 seconds is always on point. Then everything else that you've been doing will follow in suit. But if you don't get this right first, don't expect the rest of your posts or the rest of the work that you've been doing is going to do as well unless you crack this 3 second. Okay. So let's move on. So growth follows the numbers. At the start, it might be pretty slow to grow. If you've got an account under 5,000 followers, to be honest, it is quite difficult. That's the benchmark that you really want to get. Once you get to 5,000, it's much easier to go from 5,000 to 10,000. Once you get 10,000, it's much easier to then get 100,000. But if you're under 5,000, even if you've got 300 followers now, like, to get one or two followers a post, to get a couple of followers a day is really positive numbers. And, it's pretty much like investing. It compounds over time. Bit by bit, your account will grow. I see a lot of people kind of like, imagine going to the gym and being 200 kilograms, or 300 pounds or whatever, and asked to lose like 50% of your body weight, or asked to lose like 100 kilos in a couple of weeks. It's not really going to happen. I get this question all the time coming through sales is, hey, I've got this budget. I want to get to 50,000 followers by the end of the year, or within the next 6 months, or sometimes within the next 2 months. Like, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of how this all works. You might be able to get to them 50,000, luckily, with a certain post. But really, if you've not got the correct foundations in there, then you'll get to 50 and then you'll just plateau. I see this all the time. I know one person that, went boom up until 200, 300,000 followers in the space of about 40 to 50 days. And then they became a big influencer and stuff like that, but then they didn't really understand the fundamentals of actually how to grow an account. They just did really well on one or two posts. And then they just started to drop. So this is why, if you get the fundamentals right at the start, you won't just grow and then stop. You'll keep on growing bit by bit. So even if you grow on 1 follower a day, even if you grow on 2 followers a day, that is positive. That is good. If you keep that line going up constantly, you're in the winner position there as well. You'll see accounts that constantly going up and down, up and down, up and down. It's necessary because they haven't got a good strategy to keep going. So if you follow this, growth numbers will compound. Once you get to 1,000, you've got a possibility of them 1,000 people then sharing your content, saving, which puts you onto the explore page. Really, and I want everyone to understand this as well. Like, unless you're getting to like 1,000 to 5,000 followers, it's going to be very hard to get on the explore page. It's not impossible. It is possible, but it is hard. So really try to get to that 1 to 5,000. And as soon as you get there, then that's when the big growth is going to be able to start, really, unless you just get one post, as I mentioned before, that got shared in a WhatsApp group. But that's quite lucky in a way. It might have just been one person that stumbled across. But when you say lucky, they got there because they were posting 2 to 3 times a day. So if you really want your growth numbers to compound, you need to be posting minimum once a day, up to 3 times a day. This is where I would like really hit that numbers in the middle, 1 to 3 times a day. You cannot expect to grow rapidly and grow a really good account if you're posting once a week. If that's your case, you really need to figure out what you're going to be doing. Instagram probably isn't going to be the platform for you, to be honest. You need to be posting as much as possible. Figure it out. You don't have to do all the content yourself. You might be able to repost, do other things. But if you want to get there fast, 1 to 3 posts a month. You will know after 100 pieces of content if what you're doing is working or not working. So if it takes you 6 months to post that 100 pieces of content, you might then have to change around and then post another 6 months of it. So it might take you a year before you even start to grow your account. Whereas if you post 30, 60, 90 pieces of content in 1 month, then you're going to know if it's working or not, adjust and then go again. It might seem massive to be doing this, but look, you've got all the content already. You've got the content. You've got the AI apps to be doing this as well. Grab my other course, the How to Grow on Social Media with AI. I teach you how to do this as well. So with all of this, you can have one video from maybe a year ago. You can cut that up easily into like 3 or 4 videos. Then you've got 3 or 4 videos to post. Okay. So really go to town. Growth numbers. Growth follows the numbers. Get the things right. Once you start to see any increase, it might be going from every post gets 20 likes and 2 comments. Then all of a sudden it goes to 15 likes and 3 comments. That's growth. That is decent. Any numbers that are going up bit by bit, then the followers will start to follow. Okay. So bear in mind, try to post at least once a day, 90 times a day. And even if your growth is slow, if it takes you 6 months to go from 200 followers to 1,000 followers, then that's fine, right? There's so many people doing this as well. But if you really go to town and do everything here, you should be able to, in 6 months, easily get from 0 to 5K, 0 to 10K followers pretty easy by following everything in this mini course. So that's the end of module 6. As always, you've got your key takeaways and action plan. One of the ones I want to highlight here is decide which metric will be your primary success metric for the next 30 days. As I mentioned, is it sales? Is it follower growth? Is it generally just building more interaction with your followers? Are you building new products? Figure out what you want, because it might not be the same for everyone. Certain people might not be cared about selling, so it doesn't really matter. They just want to get likes and views. So really have a look at where you want to go. If you don't have a solid plan to go forward and what you want out of your account, it's going to get messy. And this goes with the rest of it as well. Identify which posts to stop making based on low performance. If you don't know what metric you're going after, then you don't really know what's going to be a low performance. So go over it. What do you want to achieve with your profile? If you don't know what you want to achieve with your profile, figure that out, put in a plan. I want to become an influencer. I want my company brand to be the best one in the local area. I want to grow to 500,000 followers and start doing TED Talks and speaking. If that's where you want to go, build that plan in your head, figure out what the content is you need. What are the metrics that are going to match that? Again, have a look at ChatGPT. That will help you out to figure it out if you don't know. And then from all of that, you're going to build an incredibly solid plan, which will guarantee to get you where you need to go if you follow everything in here. So fantastic module. I'll see you in module 7.